Hello, America and the world. Welcome to another show of Life After Lockup. I'm Anthony E. Walton, Director of Life Communities, and this is an opportunity to show the public and the world another side of the criminal justice system, another side of inmates after they have been released. We'll give you some details, some personal testimonies of men and women that have gotten out of prison or jails, and we're just going to find out about the life that they are living now, and basic things to kind of show you that everybody is not going back to jail, everybody is not returning, everybody is not trying to wait till they get out to commit another crime, to go back. These are the stories that we hear. We only see all the bad part. We only see all the bad people. We look at all the hardened criminals, but we never take a real good look at people once they have been released and once they've been released from jails or prisons. So this program is Life After Lockup, and we hope you enjoy it. We're going to welcome to our today's show Brother William Eric Hutcherson. Welcome to our show. I'm doing marvelous, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you are part of this show today. And we're going to just talk about maybe a little bit about what ended you in jail and how long you were there, and basically how long you've been out. We're going to start out with that. Just kind of let the people know a little bit about your background.
Well, my background, I was drugs ended me in jail. Drugs, and through my drug addiction, flagrant child support. Mm-hmm. Did drugs, fought crack cocaine for 15 years. Oh, I was in and out of jail from like 96 to 2006. In and out of jail at least 2 or 3 times a year. My goodness. You know.
And now, so how the last time, how long were you in there?
The last time was March 2006. I was in jail 4 months then.
Okay. And you've been out now for how long?
I've been out since, I went to jail December 06. Okay. And I've been out since March 07.
Okay, March 07.
Yes.
Okay, so a little over a year.
Yes.
Now, and is this the longest that you've stayed out?
Yes, yes, for over years is the longest. I would go back at least for public intoxication or something like that, but yeah.
Okay, and so what, if there was a secret, because people probably are going to be watching this show in jail, and some of them are parents and wives or fathers or whatever will probably be watching this show, and they're going to be wondering, okay, you've been out a year, what happened, what's keeping you out this long, and what's keeping you sober, and what's keeping you off drugs?
Keeping me off drugs is my beliefs and my faith in the Lord. Okay. You know, but I was enrolled in the drug court program, and that's a positive influence on my life. But first and foremost is my beliefs. Okay. You know, in the Lord, and He took the temptation and the craving of crack cocaine away, and from that point on, I just really truly try to do the next right thing. Okay. You know, and being around positive people.
Okay, and that's really good. Now you mentioned drug court. Is that basically what's an agreement that you made with them to get some type of probation or something like that?
Yes, it was agreement to go through a 2-year program on the streets versus incarceration, to where to stay clean and sober and attend classes, and they monitor us pretty regularly. Some of the rules and guidelines I don't agree with, but some things that they don't want us to do, I don't have the desire to do anyway. Okay. So I don't buck the system anymore because I do not have the desire to get high. So it falls in place with my program.
Okay, so basically what you're saying then, if you have a desire to do the right thing, then the system will basically work for you.
Yes, it works. I think I have the desire and want to live right and be a productive member of society. Okay. And the system, it helps me as long as I won't help.
Okay. Okay, but now if you were wanting to sneak and wanting to do some things, then the drug program would probably be a hindrance.
I wouldn't be sitting here today. Oh. Me personally, no, because I've tried to beat the system before. I mean, it's ways that I stayed out of jail or just ran and still doing the wrong thing, but eventually I ended right back where I started from.
Okay, so the drug court system, or this program that you're on, and you said it's a 2-year program, so you've been on it for a little over a year. Yes. So you got a few more months left, and that has helped you to stay focused, basically.
Yes.
And how often do you go?
Now, the phase that I'm in now, I go to court once a month. Okay. But I go to meetings every day. I have different meetings to go to, different group counselings and things like that.
Okay, do you get drug tested?
I get drug tested regularly.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Okay.
more, more than, there is absolutely no way to even think about beating the system in this situation. Okay. We get drug tests, we have to call in and we get drug tested regularly.
Okay, but because you have a desire to do right anyway, it's not that big of a deal.
No,
for you.
The things that we can't do, I have no desire to do, and the drug test is, sometimes it's a sense of pride to be able to pass a drug screen without falsifying it, because I've even tried that before in the past,
Okay.
So it's a sense of pride comes with it.
A sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
Sense of dignity for your own self, knowing that you have been off of drugs and that you don't have a desire for it. That's an accomplishment. For 15 years,
yes.
you were addicted to drugs, crack cocaine.
Cocaine. Yes.
That's a powerful drug.
Yes.
And for you to be delivered from that is a powerful testimony. And it is always good to talk to young men and women that have had that addiction for so long, and to see how you can be delivered from it.
Yes.
And that's a powerful testimony, because a lot of people feel like that they can't ever get off.
Right.
After 15 years, almost like that's your life.
Right. And I honestly didn't. The last 5 years did not want to get high, and I know if I would have been introduced to drug court at that time, it wouldn't have benefited me, because I didn't want to get high, but God had to do a change in me.
Okay.
God had to deliver that taste out of my mouth, alcohol and drugs. God had to do it for me, because I honestly did not want to get high the last 5 years.
But you couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. Even if I've been to rehab twice, and I've tried the people placing things to stay away from that, and I would go to it myself. It wouldn't have to be no peer pressure, no influence.
You would go to it.
I would go to it. So.
But God had to come in and do something, and that's what people need to know, that there is help, and that God can help you.
Yes, He can.
I think most of the time that even in my own personal testimony, I knew, God had to change me. He had to change me. The world was not really going to change. Things were not really going to change, but God had to change me. But when He changed me, that helped me to see things a whole lot better.
Right.
Let me ask you this. This is just from your own personal thoughts, and I have mine too. I'll give mine after you do. But what do you think about this early release program that the system is doing now, releasing people a little bit earlier? How do you feel that would help?
I think it could go both ways, both sides. If the people that's been incarcerated that was given way too much time, I think it's great for them, because a lot of people, including myself, for the crime that I committed, was given too much time. We feel as though it was too much time, and it's good that the system and people have spoke up to allow people to be released early, especially if they're trying to do something positive.
Right.
And have a support group to go to, like the ex-offenders class, and have people and really want to do the right thing. That could be a motivation all itself, that the society is allowing me to go, the society acknowledge their mistakes and allowing me back on the streets to be a productive member of society, you know. And on the other hand, you have people like myself was at one time. I would say or do anything I could to get out early to go right back to doing what I was doing.
Okay.
But I feel it's a great program, though.
Okay, and I guess from my own standpoint, I see it both ways, just like you do, with the exact same reasons. I think it would be very beneficial for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people that I meet and I have to go to court with, and they are good people. They just get caught up in certain things, and the time that has been given them seems to be a little harsh, seems to be too much, because sometimes a person can just get on their feet and just begin to try to get their lives together, and something that happened 18 months ago can come up and land them in jail today, and it's almost like it's a waste sending a person like that, to jail or prison. And I think it would be good for that person to be able to get out a little earlier. Right. Then on the other hand, just like what you just said, flip side of that, there are people that are there, because I know I was in prison for 3 years, and I saw people go in and get out and come back in before I even got out. And it's some people just don't have a desire to do right. Right. But there are a lot of people that do have a desire to do right. I read an article, I think it was last week, that mentioned this very thing, but the prosecuting attorneys, I think they felt like it was more, they looked at it from a negative point, but then there was somebody else who looked at it from a positive standpoint. I think there are both ways that it can be looked at, and from people like you and people like me that had a desire to stay out.
Right.
The early release, because I was released early. I was supposed to do at least 5 years,
Okay.
and on a 12-year sentence, and I ended up doing 3 because of an early release program that came out to help me get out early, and it benefited me. And I've been out for 21 years now,
Right,
so
man.
it can help for people that have learned their lesson. That no matter how many times they've gone in, they can still eventually learn a valuable lesson. Like you, you know, you've been in and out several times, but this last time was your turning point.
Right.
You know, and sometimes that early release could be a person's turning point, and it could help them to get out and be productive. Let me ask you about your, you got out and you were able to get a job, and you were able to, you know, get back in relationship with your family, and that's one of the things right there that I want you to kind of elaborate on. How do you feel that in and out of prison, in and out of jail affects family? Like you have children and stuff. How did that affect them?
Well, it tears a hole in a relationship with a father and a child. You know, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and like I said, I smoked crack for 15 years, and that relationship was torn apart. You know, and it's not her fault. It was just simply me. The way I was living and things, I was doing, the lies I was telling and not being there, you know. And in and out of jail, like I say, it's nothing I wanted to do, but that's why I ended up at the end of when everything was all said and done, that's why I ended up. So it's definitely nothing positive comes from that. But in jail is where I started preparing myself to be released.
Okay.
Start focusing on the true word of God, you know, start reading and meditating and really asking God, you know, to help me with this. Because I've really tried, even when I get out, not wanting to do wrong, wanting to be with my kids, but I did the opposite of what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I was raised in church. So I knew that God had to do this for me. So I started in jail praying and asking the Lord to help me with this.
Okay.
So on my release, at first I was very anxious for people to see me for who I am today.
Right, right.
But make no mistake about it, I was on drugs right here in Paducah.
Right.
And that's what people know.
Right.
You know, but I can only be who I am today every day and let that be known.
Right.
You know, you see me tomorrow, I'll be the same way I am right now. And now me and my daughter's relationship is getting better every day.
Good.
You know,
good.
I call, she calls, we talk more this year than we have for a whole 15 years.
Ain't that something?
You know, that's amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
know?
You said something that was interesting. People in Paducah, they know you. They know how you were. Do you feel like you had to prove yourself to people?
Not to people. I wasn't really worried about the society of Paducah as a whole, but individual people.
Right.
My kids, lady friends. You know, my family.
Right.
You know, my family been very supportive.
Good.
You know,
Good.
I have a couple of aunts here in Paducah, and there's one aunt in particular. She's been very supportive. She's seen me through it all, and she knows that God did this.
That's good.
You know, and my family that lives out of state, they've been very, very supportive. It's nothing that we really discuss or have ever discussed, but now it's just I can love them back the way they love me.
Good.
You know, I can. You know, and I feel comfortable being this person every day instead of trying to hide and sneak. So.
That's good. And let me ask you something too. Now, if you had gotten out and would not have had any kind of support at all, even though you had a desire to do the right thing, if you had no support at all, how difficult would that have been for you?
I have to rely on the Lord in that situation. I know that through my support system and, you know, friends and loved ones, it made it easier.
Right.
You know, without that, I still know God is able.
Right.
He would have done it, but I would try to step in and help him, and probably I know I would have messed it up.
Right.
So without that support system, I ain't gonna say would be impossible, but it would have been difficult.
Difficult,
you know,
and I think
I would have tried to step in and help God alone. You know.
Okay, I think that's the word I was kind of looking for more than anything, difficult, because I think it does. It's not, like you said, it's not impossible, but it is difficult when you're out there by yourself, because what happens a lot of times, and maybe a lot of times the public don't really know, but sometimes people get out and they don't have anything.
Exactly.
You know, they have no money, they have no place to go, they don't have anybody in their corner, because a lot of times when you go to jail or prison, depends on where you're going, how long you're in there, people back up away from you. You know, family leave you alone, and people just back up away from you. So when you get out, you have nothing.
Right.
And sometimes without some type of support, it can lead a person into giving up, saying, well, you know, I might as well just do whatever to go back in because I don't have any support anyway. And I think that's the word I was looking for, difficult, because you've been blessed. You've had certain amount of support that has helped you to do what you wanted to do anyway.
Right.
And that has been a big help. But some people, they want to do better, like you said earlier, they want to do better, but then they don't have the support.
Right.
And that's the reason that I feel like people need to open up more places that can help people, and job places need to give people more chances. You know, you have been given a chance to have a job and things of that nature, and how important was that for you?
Income, a job that pays money in Paducah, it was a true blessing, because when I first got out, I was blessed to have a vehicle and a place to stay. You know, my dad has been a support even through my addiction. You know, my dad still stood beside me. It's like he knew the man I could be and what I needed to do. He never turned his back on me to this day, and I'm blessed for that, and I thank God for my dad. But getting out of jail, a job is very essential with the fines you have to pay, and you behind in child support getting off. I just got arrested for flagrant support. My child support never stopped. So when I got out, I'm 4 months behind, further than I was. You know, I worked 2 restaurant jobs in order to get child support coming out of my checks. You know, I was blessed to get out there, and I never really had a problem finding a job, even in my addiction. You know, I've always wanted to work. You know, but I've been blessed to get out of jail with a reliable transportation and a place to stay. You know, but a job, you have to have one.
Yeah,
because
right.
I mean, even when money gets short and the price of gas, I knew how to go out there and get money.
Right.
And that was going back down the same road. I'm blessed to be able to play the whole tape out now. Right. I know how to go get money. I can put gas in my truck and get food on the table. There's no secret about that, but I can play the whole tape out now.
Right.
You know, I've gotten wise in that department through the grace of God.
Right.
So, but a job, it's essential.
It's essential.
That's the bottom line.
And you said something very important too, a decent paying job, because when you got when you got child support that doesn't end, and I've never been able to understand that. I mean, when you go to jail, they know you got time you got to serve, 3 and 4 and 5 years. Child support never ends. It continues to mount up. So when you get out, you got all of that back child support.
Right. And they want their money now.
Right, and they want it the day after you get out, or
they
that
want it
evening.
right now. Yes,
you know,
sir.
and that is so. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that, because how can you pay if you are incarcerated, and it keeps mounting, and then when you get out, you have that's right over your head. Then you got to try to live. You got to try to support yourself. You got to try to eat. You have to try to pay the bills or whatever that you have, and you can get arrested again by not paying the child support.
That's for violation.
A violation for not paying child support.
Yes.
And you know, those are the things that the reason why you need a good paying job. You need a job that's going to give you a decent salary and some benefits. And you said something very commendable. You got 2 restaurant jobs.
Yes. One, well, I had no money left after child support come out of one job. But like I said, wanting to do the right thing and have people that wasn't down in me, or people that was like, man, you just get another job. For some people, it's just that simple.
Right, just get another job.
Yeah, just get another job. What else you got to do but run the streets? Right. Just get another job.
And you know, I talked to a guy. I went to visit a guy, and he had a job that was making good. But when he got through working, he only was able to have himself just a few dollars left. Right. And he was in jail when I was talking to him. And he told me how frustrating it was. And so he started going back to his old habits just to make money. And I just asked him a simple question, just like what you just said. Why didn't you just get another job? You know, and I guess it was just something that people just don't think about, because now you in jail and now you're not making any money.
Right.
So now what happens? And sometimes having good people around you just to kind of help give you good, solid advice. Right. Sometimes that can mean so much, because I know when I got out of prison, the only job I could get was sacking groceries. I sacked groceries at a grocery store, and they eventually made me the manager. But I was willing to do whatever I could do to make sure I was making an honest living and doing the right thing. Even though temptations came, my determination was to do the right thing. I think when you have that kind of determination and you have some support, some people, good, solid people around you to help lead you in the right direction, that helps. So somebody told you, get another job, you know, and it made all the difference in the world.
Makes sense. It makes sense because there's people today that's in jail that was working, then left town and doing great. Things that they pass in the system come up and they will bring them back to Paducah and lock them up, you know, and that's frustrating. And then when you get out, it depends on how you live while you in there. You understand the mistakes. The system is not perfect. And now you back in, it's like you're starting all over again. You have to. You can still got. If you have a family out of state where you was at, the bills are going behind because you was the man of the house. So when you get out, it's very important to have somebody there to be like, hold you, you know, just jump back in there, both feet, and just do the next right thing. You know, you want to get out. You know how to make money, so you can get back to your family. But you want to get back to the status you was at, and it's very frustrating to get, you know, pulled back like that, especially if you think you're living correctly anyway.
Right. And sometimes that is an issue with the system. I guess sometimes instead of giving a person a break or giving them probation or something like that, a person is locked up, and sometimes they're locked up because of their past. You know, not because of the positive things that they've done in the last couple of years, but it's the negative things that they've did in the past, and that sometimes is a problem. And it is kind of frustrating when a man is doing the right thing, trying to do the right thing, and all of a sudden something happens, and he ends up back in there, and he loses everything. And that sometimes is something that seems like people don't understand. When you have accomplished a certain amount of material things or certain status on your job or whatever, and something happens in your past that pulls you back, like you said, you start from nothing, and it can be frustrating. It can be very frustrating. Let me just ask you this too, because I get this from some people sometimes, but I've never really talked about it openly on the air. How does the jail and the prison treatment influence a person when they get out? You understand the question?
I can speak about McCracken County Jail.
Okay.
The overcrowded and the way that you're treated as far as medical, meds, and mail, you're almost forced to live as outside. I ain't gonna say like an animal. It's no means like that, but you're forced to be the person that you don't want to be when you're in there, and you carry that outside with you. You know, I don't think it's a lot of times it's fair treatment in there at all, as far as getting your phone privileges threatened and your visits threatened for something someone else does. The guard might be just having a bad day. Everybody has bad days, but you still have a job to do, and we still are humans. You know, I'm a man just like you are. I made a mistake and I'm doing my time. You know, I shouldn't be subject to any other cruel and inhumane treatment.
And that is something I think that a lot of times too the public is not aware of. I did 3 years and some months, and sometimes the treatments in jails and prisons helps to encourage a person to halter some type of bitterness in them, and it can help mold them into being something that they really don't want to be, and it can affect them. I think this is something that the public really needs to understand. We see a lot of times on television a lot of how people are, the animal type attitude that certain inmates have or whatever, killing and stabbing other people, whatever. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes the system itself or the prison itself or the jail itself can help to motivate a person into being an animal. And that's sometimes is necessary for people to understand. When you go in, you might have intentions on being a different kind of person, but when you get treated like a dog and you get treated like an animal and you get certain things threatened or whatever, it can alter how you feel about people in general. And it can really stir up some things inside of you that can influence how you act once you get out. And that's the reason I asked that question, because sometimes people think, well, you got 3 meals and a cot, you don't have to worry about paying bills, you get to eat free and all that kind of stuff like that. But they don't see all the other stuff that goes on once the warden leaves, or once the officials of the jail leave. They don't really see all the other things that happen, and sometimes people get out and they are very angry.
Exactly.
And I think that the public needs to understand that as well. People do get out sometimes that they're frustrated and they're angry, and they're angry because of how they were treated. They're angry because they felt misunderstood, and they're angry sometimes because the system sometimes doesn't treat them fairly. That they don't feel like it's fair.
Right.
And then so they get out. Then when they get to a point they can't find a job, and they got all this back stuff that they got to pay. And it can be very frustrating to a person,
Right.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is, and I kind of wanted it from someone else other than me, because I think sometimes once we get out and we serve our time, there's still some memories of how you were treated, and if it wasn't for the grace of God, we could have got out with a lot of anger,
Yes,
a lot of bitterness.
They have different cell blocks, and I was blessed. The cell block I was in, everyone was into reading and wanting to do better, and was having group discussion and Bible time, and we was trying to talk to the next man when something's getting ready to happen that wasn't fair, unjust, and filling out grievance forms in there was nothing. That frustrated me. You fill them out and you don't get an answer back. You try to go by the rules and regulations. That was that's one thing that's very frustrating to me, but it motivated me not. That's another reason not to go back. And they have positive programs in there. It's so crowded, a lot of people don't get to participate in them. But it motivated me not to want to go back. So.
And that was one of the things I think too, and that's very good that you said that, because once a person goes and they see how everything goes there, why come back? Why come back? And I think I've said that so many times. It takes a crazy person, and forgive me for saying this, to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I say crazy, I don't mean mentally retarded. It's got to be something wrong with that person. But then again, I used to say that, but then again, it don't have to be. Sometimes the system drives a person back to where they don't want to go, because they don't really have any outs, no support. And that's the reason it's necessary. And I want to put this plug in to the ex-offender support group. How has that group been for you? Because you are a faithful member of that group. How's that group been for you?
It's amazing how everyone's story is similar, as far as being an ex-offender, and all our complaints and grievances are the same, to where when I was in jail, we sit around, we talk about what we're gonna do when we get out. But when I get out, I have to go find me a job, pay my child support, put food on the table. I forget about people that I just was talking to last night that was still incarcerated. But this support groups helps me maintain that focus, help me remember what I could do on the outside to help the men and women that's inside, and also it gives me a drive to want to do the next right thing. It's just people like that and support groups like that. It's just, it helps. It motivates me to do the next right thing.
Good. Thank you so much. And our time is up again. I told you it's going to go quick.
Real quick.
But our time is up again, and I want to remind people the Life Community 575-3823. Look us up, Life Communities at bellsouth.net, and give us some suggestions. The ex-offender support group every first Monday at 5:30 at the W.C. Young Community Center. Again, thank you so much for looking and for visiting Life After Lockup. God bless you, and you have a marvelous day.
Bless.